Panther people, what up? It was a wild waiver wire Wednesday. Did the Panthers add some wins? Going on to watch Panthers supposed to Phil Perkins. Thanks for joining us here. All right. Well, it was waiver wire Wednesday. There could be some more pickups for the Carolina Panthers. It could be more Panthers dropped as well as Dave Canales and Dan Morgan start their new era. Things are getting real. Week 1 against the Saints is just a couple days away. They are finalizing their 53-man roster as well as their practice squad. As we all know, injuries happen in the NFL season, and they could always call guys up. They get that nice little game check, and happy for everybody. This is a really unique situation because you are able to, as a team, you are able to pick up guys who you didn't draft, maybe at your previous stops in Tampa or in Buffalo, in the case of Canals and Dan Morgan. You didn't get a chance to draft them because your team was not good enough or too good, whichever it was, but you always had your eye on somebody. You always see, in these draft confidentials that the Panthers always pull out, that there's guys that they scouted on and they did a lot of work on them, but they just weren't able to draft them. They drafted higher than they wanted to, or, someone just picked them up and they didn't, but they keep an eye on them. And we talked about this before during the preseason when, depending on how your players do, they either playing for a new contract with your team or it's a tryout for the team they're currently facing. And they have scouts absolutely everywhere. And the NFL, in any major sport, it's all about relationships. Even though the Carolina Panthers are picking first overall, they interviewed, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, because you never know what's going to happen. Sam Darnold was the second overall pick or whatever it was in that draft. And, he obviously made the rounds. And whether it was guys with the Panthers, with the 49ers, now with the Minnesota Vikings, did they talk to him during that rookie roundtable? And maybe they said, hey, you know what? I remember talking to Sam Darnold way back in the combine. He was a great dude. I think it'd be good for our team. Nearly 10 years later. So there's a unique opportunity where almost 1,000 players were cut from their teams. And, it's all about relationships. And you saw with some of these pickups that those relationships sustain themselves. And now these players, who some of them did get cut, find themselves a new home, in this case with the Carolina Panthers. And there are some connections with Dave Canales and company. So now we just got to figure out, are these guys actual improvements? Are they stopgaps? We'll have to see. All right, let's talk about some of the players that were cut, starting with undrafted free agent wide receiver Jalen Coker. I feel like Carolina Panthers fans, I can't even remember, like every single year, there is some undrafted free agent wide receiver who we fall absolutely head over heels for, and they don't pan out. Not saying he's not going to pan out. I could assume that maybe he could try to make the practice roster if he's not picked up on waiver claims by other teams. Like I said, it's all about relationships. Maybe some other team saw him during the draft process, said, you know what, now he's got an opportunity to get him. Carolina didn't want him. We'll take him. Amir Smith-Marset, this one hits hard right now at home. I thought that he could be a really integral part of this team. It seems like the Panthers, unlike other teams, didn't really give him a shot. And the Panthers gave him an elongated shot, but maybe it just didn't work out with him in terms of, the offense of what they have right now, put in by Dave Canales. And there's some other guys who might know this offense a little bit more, a la David Moore, who played in Seattle with Dave Canales, who was the wide receiver coach. Safety, Damani Richardson. Cornerback, Deshaun Jameson. They were let go. Defensive tackle, Jaden Peavy. And offensive lineman, Cade Mays, who was the longest-serving Carolina Panthers member to get cut. He was one of the last picks Matt Rule ever made during his tenure. I thought, he could be a nice little depth piece guy, kind of like Brady Christensen Jr., but it just didn't work out. Again, these guys could all come back to the Carolina Panthers. Now let's talk about some of the guys that were added to the team, specifically at corner. And Dave Canales said in the presser today, basically saying that the guys that they had on the roster before they cut them just weren't cutting it. And we already know there are mad injuries right now in the defensive backfield. I said that was going to be an issue that they're going to have to address, and that is why I was looking at them to get someone like a Stephon Gilmore who can kind of solidify the other side of the field opposite of J.C. Horn, because really, with Xavier Woods out and Dane Jackson, you're really relying on J.C. Horn, who hasn't stayed healthy a single year, to be the guy. And so they had, Chad Smith-Wade. They have him available right now. They have some other corners, but really the guys they had in the building are just not good enough. So they had to get an upgrade, starting with Keenan Isaac. He was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he was there while Dave Canales was the offensive coordinator. He's a big dude. And this is the difference between these corners they brought in right now and the corners they just let go. They were sub 6 foot. These guys, they're all 6 foot plus. So Keenan Isaac, Alabama State, 6'3", 190 pounds, 4'5'9", 40. Played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers during the preseason, 91.2 coverage grades, 33% coverage snaps, 1 yard allowed in coverage, 1 interception, 16.7 passer rating allowed. Again, this was during the preseason, but again, it's all about relationships. He's at Tampa. He could be also here for special teams as well. So Dave Canales is aware of his skill set. So this is a guy definitely to look out for to be a contributor. Tariq Castro Fields, this guy also 6'1", so above 6 feet, former 6th round pick out of Penn State. He's played mainly with special teams. And so again, they're adding size and just capabilities of what you can do to this team to try to add. Also, Shamar Bartholomew, 6'1", cornerback ball hog, totaled 34 pass deflections, 10 interceptions in college. Several teams also had a scouting of him. They wanted Bartholomew, but however, Panthers pick it first overall. Yay, again, in the waiver wire pickup, so they pick up yet another big cornerback. Now, more on Shamar Bartholomew. According to the Jets' Twitter, they're kind of upset that he was cut. You're not totally surprised, but they said he's had a very strong preseason. Mind you, he did play against the Carolina Panthers in that joint practice as well, and in that preseason game. He was PFF's 8th highest graded cornerback this preseason, allowed 2 catches for a total of 0 yards on 9 targets this summer. All right, let's talk about linebacker now. We already know that it's kind of thin right there. Frankie Luvu is out. We got Shaq Thompson. We got Trevor Wallace, who's been balling out of Kentucky, the rookie. He's been absolutely doing his thing off the field. And then you also got Juicy Jewel, some of the system fit guy, had some of his best years with the Joe Everett with the Denver Broncos. But you're going to need some depth there. So they went into the Pacific Northwest and they double dipped on some linebackers they just cut, including John Radigan. He's a 4-year guy out of Army, mainly a special teams dude, but he is an absolute dog, according to some of his teammates. He's 6 foot, like 240, 245. And so he's going to be a special teams guy. I can see him being a fan favorite. I'm just going to say, Army guy, kind of looks like he could live in the Appalachians right now. As special teams guys, ball out of control. Again, this is a young team fighting for some respect. And so coming out of Army, you're fighting for respect coming against some of the big school guys. So I respect that. See how it goes there. Defensive end, Jamie Sheriff, again, also out of the Pacific Northwest of the Seattle Seahawks. He was a rotational edge, linebacker type with the Seattle defense. Obviously didn't fit their scheme with their new head coach, Mike McDonald. And so he could probably feature with the Carolina Panthers as well, once now picking up with this team. Also, offensive tackle, Jarrett Kingston. So they let Cade Mays go, as I talked about, one of the longer tenured guys. Is he the most athletic? Probably not compared to this guy. He was probably one of the top 5 guys in terms of the shuttle. I think it was a 4.54 shuttle out of offensive lineman during the combine. So you're going to need that in this run-heavy offense. A guy who can just cut that corner, swing tackle, lead block for Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, Jonathan Brooks whenever he's healthy after week 5. So that's a nice pickup as well. He could be an immediate contributor as well. Terrace Marshall, who did go unclaimed, eventually did sign with the San Francisco 49ers. So, hey, it helped Sam Darnold get a full-time gig with the Minnesota Vikings, maybe stepping in, in the Bay Area with Christian McCaffrey and company. A pretty sweet offense with the Shanahans. Does this turn around Terrace Marshall's career? He seemed like a great guy, just, kind of like Bryce Young, who's only been in the league for 2 years now. Terrace Marshall has been thrown into one of the worst situations in football. So maybe if he goes to one of the best situations in football, maybe he can turn things around and do great things, because I'm sure he's looking at his LSU Tiger buddies and wondering, why the heck am I not having the same career trajectory right now? So maybe that works out in San Francisco. Again, let me know what you guys think. If anything does happen, any more big pickups, any trades, anything like that, I'm going to make sure to have a YouTube short, TikTok. Make sure to follow me there as well. And of course, the season's coming up, baby. So we're going to do a little bit of a preview. You can look out for that. And of course, once the season starts, at least 2 episodes a week. Preview, reaction, breaking news. Can't wait. Let me know what you guys think about some of these moves. But in the meantime, see you soon.